stop for a moment, breathe, because 2026 is not just another page on the calendar. It is a threshold. Pluto has re-entered Aquarius. And whether you follow astrology or not, whether you consider yourself spiritual, skeptical, or somewhere in between, you can feel it. Something is restructuring beneath the surface of the world. Systems are wobbling. Conversations are sharper. Technology is moving faster than our comfort allows. Power feels unstable. Authority feels questioned. The future feels close. Today's date matters. We are not speaking in myth or metaphor. We are speaking in timing. The universe runs on structure. It moves in cycles, not chaos. Pluto, the slow architect of transformation, has crossed back into Aquarius for the long stay that will carry us through the next 2 decades. This is not a trend. This is an era. And eras do not whisper. They recalibrate. Pluto is not gentle. Pluto dissolves what has expired. It exposes what has been hidden. It reveals power dynamics that prefer the dark. For the last stretch, Pluto moved through Capricorn, dismantling institutions, governments, corporations, hierarchies. You saw it. Scandals, distrust, leadership crises, economic instability, the exposure of corruption at levels once considered untouchable. That was not random. That was structural decay being revealed. Now Pluto steps into Aquarius, the sign of the collective, innovation, rebellion, humanitarian reform, and technological evolution. The energy shifts from tearing down old authority to redistributing power. And here is the truth you may already feel. Control is decentralizing. Aquarius governs networks, communities, digital systems, shared intelligence. Pluto intensifies whatever it touches. So what happens when the planet of transformation moves through, the sign of collective consciousness? We begin to question who really holds power. We begin to redefine what power even means. This is not about panic. This is about awareness. You may already feel restless. You may feel that your old identity doesn't fit the new world forming around you. You may feel both excitement and unease about artificial intelligence, digital currencies, biotechnology, and the way conversations around human rights are accelerating. That tension you feel is not confusion. It is adjustment. This transit is not asking you to move fast. It is asking you to move consciously. Pluto in Aquarius will not reward impulsive rebellion. It will reward strategic evolution. The universe is watching how we respond to innovation, not how quickly we adopt it. This phase is not about speed. It is about integrity. What is being tested right now? Our relationship with power, our relationship with technology, our ability to think independently within a collective narrative. Aquarius rules the group mind. Pluto exposes manipulation within the group mind. That means misinformation will intensify before clarity stabilizes. Ideological extremes will rise before equilibrium returns. Collective movements will gain traction, but not all movements will be aligned with truth. Discernment becomes sacred. If you have felt overwhelmed by the volume of opinions, by the speed of change, by the constant digital noise, understand this. You are not behind. You are in calibration. The next 20 years will redefine governance, economy, identity, and community. But revolutions do not begin in the streets first. They begin in perception. They begin in awareness. Pluto in Aquarius activates the question, what kind of future do we deserve? This is not passive astrology. This is participatory evolution. The Enlightenment period began under this placement. So did massive revolutions that redefined monarchy, citizenship, and individual rights. When Pluto last moved through Aquarius in the late 1700s, the world witnessed the collapse of rigid power structures and the birth of modern democracy. Ideas once considered dangerous became foundational. History does not repeat, but it echoes. And right now you're living inside an echo. What will be dismantled this time? Not just governments, not just institutions, but mental frameworks. The idea that authority must be centralized. The assumption that information should be gate-kept. The belief that innovation belongs only to elites. Aquarius energy democratizes. Pluto intensifies that democratization. But here's the warning, and listen carefully. Decentralization without wisdom becomes chaos. Freedom without responsibility becomes fragmentation. The universe is not simply handing humanity new tools. It is testing whether we are mature enough to use them. You may feel called to learn new skills, to understand digital systems, to question narratives, to join communities aligned with growth rather than outrage. That instinct is not random. Pluto in Aquarius favors those who evolve intentionally. This is a time to strengthen your critical thinking, to refine your ethics, to choose transparency over manipulation, because the collective will magnify whatever individuals embody. Aquarius is the sign of the future. Pluto ensures that future is forged through pressure. Do not mistake pressure for punishment. Pressure reveals structure. And if something in your life feels unstable right now, ask yourself, is it collapsing or is it transforming? Pluto rarely destroys without purpose. It removes what cannot sustain the next era. You are not here by accident. You chose to incarnate in a time of acceleration. Souls who arrive during Pluto shifts carry resilience. They carry adaptability. They are meant to witness systemic change and contribute to it. But this phase is not about loud declarations. It is about internal alignment. The universe is not asking, how powerful are you? It is asking, how responsible are you with power? Over the next 2 decades, technology will expand faster than legislation. Collective movements will outpace traditional governance. Community will redefine itself beyond borders. And the question will not be whether change happens. The question will be who shapes it. This is your invitation to step into awareness, not fear. Curiosity, not resistance. Because Pluto in Aquarius does not promise comfort. It promises evolution. And evolution is rarely quiet. In the next chapter, we will look backward to understand what is ahead. We will revisit the last time Pluto walked through Aquarius and uncover the patterns that are quietly reawakening now. History is not distant. It is instructive. To understand where we are going, we must be willing to look back without romanticizing the past. The last time Pluto moved through Aquarius was between 1778 and 1798. The world did not gently transition. During those years, it erupted. Monarchies trembled. Citizens demanded representation. The American Revolution reshaped governance. The French Revolution dismantled centuries of inherited authority. The language of human rights, equality, and liberty surged into global consciousness. But here is what most people forget. Those revolutions were not clean. They were not purely noble. They were messy, conflicted, extreme. Ideals of freedom coexisted with violence. Liberation coexisted with chaos. Power shifted, but not without consequence. Pluto intensifies. Aquarius disrupts. Together, they expose imbalance in collective systems. When Pluto entered Aquarius in the 18th century, the question was simple but dangerous. Who truly has the right to rule? That question shattered empires. Now, as we stand in 2026, the question is evolving. It is no longer just about kings and governments. It is about corporations, algorithms, data ownership, digital sovereignty, artificial intelligence. Who programs it? Who profits from it? Who regulates it? Who controls the narrative? The battlefield has shifted from physical territory to informational territory. If you feel that the world is arguing about truth itself, you are not imagining it. Pluto in Aquarius challenges the structure of collective belief. In the 1700s, pamphlets and printed texts fueled revolutionary thought. Today, digital platforms move ideas at light speed. Influence no longer requires armies. It requires reach. History echoes, but it does not copy itself. In the late 18th century, society demanded representation. In this era, society demands participation. Aquarius governs the collective voice. Pluto ensures that voice will not remain suppressed. But here is the deeper layer. Aquarius also rules ideology. When Pluto intensifies ideology, extremes can surface. The French Revolution began with calls for equality and evolved into the Reign of Terror. Power vacuums attract instability before equilibrium returns. This is why discernment matters more than passion during this transit. You may feel emotionally pulled by global issues. You may feel anger at injustice, frustration with leadership, and patience with systems that move too slowly. That emotional activation is part of the collective awakening. But Pluto does not reward reactive outrage. It rewards strategic transformation. The universe is watching how we handle collective tension. What is being tested right now? Our ability to hold complexity without collapsing into extremism. Our ability to seek reform without becoming consumed by destruction. During the previous Pluto in Aquarius era, scientific breakthroughs accelerated alongside political upheaval. The Enlightenment redefined reason, logic, and human potential. People began to believe that knowledge belonged to everyone, not just elites. That idea alone shifted civilization. Now we stand on the edge of another intellectual revolution. Artificial intelligence is reshaping labor. Biotechnology is redefining medicine. Space exploration is re-entering mainstream ambition. The democratization of knowledge through digital access mirrors the printing revolution of the 18th century. But there is a difference: the speed. In the 1700s, transformation unfolded over decades of gradual dissemination. Today, change spreads globally within minutes. The collective nervous system is overstimulated. You feel it when headlines shift hourly, when trends emerge and disappear within days, when outrage cycles feel endless. Pluto in Aquarius amplifies the collective mind, and the collective mind right now is overloaded. This is why internal grounding is essential. The past shows us that revolutions born purely from emotion often fracture. Revolutions anchored in principle endure. The American framework survived because it institutionalized its ideals. The French Revolution destabilized repeatedly because power shifted without stable scaffolding. So ask yourself, where are we building scaffolding today? Blockchain technology seeks to decentralize trust. Open source platforms aim to democratize innovation. Grassroots movements challenge corporate and governmental opacity. There is a push for transparency in supply chains, media, leadership, and financial systems. This is not coincidence. This is pattern. Aquarius energy insists that systems serve the collective. Pluto ensures hidden corruption cannot remain buried forever. Whistleblowers, investigative journalism, data leaks, public accountability, these are modern expressions of the same revolutionary current that once printed pamphlets challenging kings. But let us move deeper. Pluto in Aquarius is not only about overthrowing external authority. It is about redefining internal authority. In the Enlightenment, humanity began trusting reason over dogma. Today, humanity is being asked to balance technology with ethics, information with wisdom, freedom with responsibility. You may feel uncertainty about where to place your trust. Governments, corporations, independent creators, artificial intelligence, spiritual leaders. The confusion itself is part of the recalibration. This transit is dismantling blind loyalty. It is encouraging informed allegiance. The universe is not asking you to reject authority entirely. It is asking you to examine it, to question respectfully, to research independently, to build communities based on shared values rather than reactive emotion. Here is the quiet alignment taking place beneath the noise. Collaboration is replacing hierarchy. In the previous Pluto in Aquarius era, salons and intellectual circles formed groups of thinkers, exchanging ideas that would reshape nations. Today, digital communities form across continents. People collaborate without meeting physically. Innovation happens in shared online spaces. Collective intelligence outpaces centralized command. And yet, fragmentation is also rising. Echo chambers, ideological silos, digital tribalism. This is the tension of Aquarius. Unity without uniformity. If you feel pulled between wanting global unity and fearing loss of individuality, that tension is valid. Aquarius governs both the group and the unique voice within the group. Pluto demands we reconcile them. What should be avoided during this era? Blind conformity to collective outrage, technological dependence without ethical awareness, revolutionary impulse without long-term strategy. What is quietly aligning? A generation raised digitally that understands networked systems instinctively, a rising demand for transparency, a growing awareness that sustainability, equality, and innovation must coexist. The 18th century birthed democracy as an experiment. The 21st century may redefine democracy entirely. Digital voting systems, global citizen initiatives, decentralized governance models. These concepts, once theoretical, are entering serious discussion. Aquarius energy does not ask whether change is comfortable. It asks whether it is necessary. And here we are in 2026, standing at the threshold again. The revolutions ahead may not storm physical palaces. They may reprogram digital ones. They may not remove crowns. They may rewrite code. But make no mistake, transformation is underway. In the next chapter, we will explore the technological tectonic shift, how artificial intelligence, blockchain, biotechnology, and decentralized systems will not just influence society, but redefine what it means to be human. Because Pluto in Aquarius is not only changing the world, it is changing the definition of identity itself. Something is accelerating. You feel it when you open your phone, when you hear about another breakthrough in artificial intelligence, when headlines speak of gene editing, brain-computer interfaces, quantum processing, decentralized finance. The future is no longer abstract. It is arriving in updates, in patches, in silent lines of code that reshape entire industries overnight. Pluto in Aquarius does not introduce technology. It transforms our relationship with it. If Pluto in Capricorn exposed the fragility of old institutions, Pluto in Aquarius builds new systems, but these systems are digital, decentralized, and global. Aquarius governs networks. Pluto intensifies networks. The result is a technological tectonic shift. And tectonic shifts do not ask for permission. As we move through 2026, artificial intelligence is no longer experimental. It is integrated. It drafts legislation, diagnoses disease, designs architecture, generates art, analyzes warfare strategy. The question is no longer whether AI can think. The question is how much authority we give it. This is the deeper test. Pluto represents power. Aquarius represents collective intelligence. When these energies merge, power flows into systems rather than individuals. Algorithms begin influencing economies. Data becomes currency. Influence becomes quantifiable. You may feel both awe and discomfort. That emotional duality is accurate. Innovation excites the mind while destabilizing the ego. What is being tested during this phase? Our ethical maturity. Technology amplifies intention. If humanity approaches innovation from fear, competition, and domination, those qualities scale. If humanity approaches innovation from collaboration, sustainability, and transparency, those qualities scale. Pluto does not create morality. It exposes it. Consider blockchain and decentralized finance. The promise is transparency, peer-to-peer systems, reduced reliance on centralized banks. The shadow is volatility, exploitation, and regulatory conflict. The tool itself is neutral. The outcome depends on collective integrity. Aquarius energy pushes power outward. It challenges monopolies. It questions centralized control. That includes control over information, currency, medicine, education. But here is the quiet truth. Decentralization without wisdom fragments stability. You may notice conversations intensifying around digital identity, biometric authentication, data ownership, privacy legislation. Who owns your digital footprint? Who profits from your behavior patterns? Who determines what information reaches you? These are not abstract debates. They are structural negotiations of power. Pluto in Aquarius insists that hidden technological control be revealed. Surveillance systems, algorithmic bias, data manipulation. These issues will not stay buried. Whistleblowers, investigative researchers, independent technologists, they become catalysts during this era. Yet the revolution is not purely external. This transit also reshapes how you see yourself. Aquarius governs the nervous system, electricity, the invisible currents that connect individuals into a collective field. Technology mirrors this. We are building a digital nervous system for the planet. Communication is instantaneous. Emotional contagion spreads globally. Trends synchronize millions of people within hours. The human psyche is adapting in real time. If you feel overstimulated, distracted, or fragmented by constant connectivity, you are not weak. You are adjusting to a neurological evolution. Pluto's lesson here is not rejection of technology. It is conscious integration. This phase is not about abandoning innovation. It is about mastering it. Artificial intelligence will challenge traditional labor structures. Automation will displace certain roles while creating new ones. Entire industries will reconfigure. Universal basic income will shift from theoretical debate to policy, experimentation in multiple regions. Education systems will struggle to keep pace with skill demands. And beneath these shifts lies a deeper question. What gives human life meaning when productivity is no longer the sole measure of value? This is the existential undercurrent of Pluto in Aquarius. If machines can compose symphonies, write code, analyze markets, and perform surgery, what distinguishes human contribution? The answer is consciousness, empathy, moral reasoning, creative intuition, ethical discernment. These are not easily automated. Aquarius rules innovation, but Pluto forces depth. Superficial advancement will not sustain this era. Only technology aligned with human dignity will endure. There will be debates around genetic engineering, longevity research, neural implants. The definition of natural will evolve. Some will embrace transhumanist visions. Others will resist fiercely. Avoid extremes. This phase is not about rushing into enhancement or rejecting progress entirely. It is about measured integration. The universe is watching how we respond to power, not how quickly we adopt novelty. You may feel pressure to keep up, to learn every new platform, to understand every update. Release that urgency. Evolution is not about chasing trends. It is about strengthening your foundation. Cultivate digital literacy. Yes. Understand how algorithms shape perception. Learn how decentralized systems function. But also cultivate stillness, because clarity will become a rare resource. Increased technological capability will amplify misinformation alongside truth. Deepfakes, synthetic media, AI-generated narratives, reality itself may feel negotiable. Critical thinking becomes sacred practice. Pluto in Aquarius demands that you verify before you amplify. And here is something subtle but profound. Community will transform. Online networks will increasingly replace geographic proximity. Professional collaboration will span continents seamlessly. Niche communities will flourish. Marginalized voices will gain platforms once denied to them. This is the liberation side of Aquarius. But fragmentation is the shadow. Digital echo chambers reinforce bias. Ideological algorithms feed polarization. The same networks that empower connection can isolate perspective. Your responsibility during this era is to remain curious. Seek conversations beyond your comfort zone. Engage with nuance. Avoid the seduction of certainty, because certainty during rapid evolution is often illusion. There will also be breakthroughs that genuinely elevate humanity. Renewable energy storage improvements. AI-assisted climate modeling. Medical diagnostics that prevent disease before symptoms appear. Space research that redefines resource access. Not every transformation is dystopian. Pluto in Aquarius is not a prophecy of collapse. It is a blueprint for metamorphosis. Pressure reveals potential. The collective nervous system of humanity is expanding. The question is whether our emotional intelligence expands alongside it. If you feel small in the face of global change, remember this: Aquarius energy thrives on individual contribution within a larger system. You do not need to control the entire network. You need to refine your node within it. Strengthen your ethics. Sharpen your discernment. Participate responsibly. Innovate where you are called. Withdraw when noise overwhelms clarity. This era rewards those who are adaptable but grounded, visionary but disciplined, connected but sovereign, because the future is not being downloaded from the sky. It is being coded through collective behavior. In the next chapter, we will move beyond technology and into the restructuring of global power itself. How nation-states, economies, human rights, and community frameworks will evolve under Pluto in Aquarius. The transformation is not limited to machines. It is redefining governance, identity, and the very architecture of society. Power is shifting, not loudly, not all at once, but steadily. And if you pause long enough to observe the global atmosphere in 2026, you can feel it. Institutions once considered immovable are negotiating relevance. Governments are adapting to pressures they did not anticipate. Citizens are more informed, more connected, and more vocal than at any other point in history. Pluto in Aquarius does not simply influence technology. It restructures governance itself. Aquarius governs collective systems, humanitarian ideals, and social frameworks. Pluto exposes imbalance within those systems. Together, they initiate recalibration. For centuries, power has largely operated through centralized models, nation-states, corporate hierarchies, financial institutions, military alliances. These structures are not disappearing overnight, but they are being questioned more intensely than ever before. You may notice rising conversations around decentralized governance, digital voting mechanisms, community-led initiatives, cooperative economics, and borderless collaboration. These are not fringe ideas anymore. They are entering mainstream policy discussions. The concept of sovereignty is evolving. Under Pluto in Aquarius, authority must justify itself to the collective. Transparency is no longer optional. Citizens expect accountability in real time. Information leaks instantly. Public opinion organizes rapidly. Leadership that relies solely on secrecy will struggle in this era. But here's the deeper layer. Aquarius energy empowers the group, not the mob. There is a difference. Collective intelligence is strategic and long-term. Mob reaction is impulsive and short-lived. Pluto will test whether humanity can distinguish between the two. You may feel increasing frustration with political polarization, ideological extremes rising on both sides, debates growing more rigid. That tension is not accidental. When power structures are destabilized, people seek certainty, and certainty often disguises itself as extremism. This is where emotional maturity becomes crucial. The universe is not asking humanity to agree on everything. It is asking humanity to evolve beyond binary thinking. Pluto in Aquarius will challenge nationalism as the primary identity structure. This does not mean borders dissolve tomorrow. It means global interdependence becomes undeniable. Climate change, cybersecurity, pandemics, economic supply chains, these issues ignore geography. Aquarius governs global networks. Pluto forces acknowledgement of interconnected vulnerability. You may see increased pushes toward universal healthcare access, universal basic income experiments, educational reform, and digital citizenship models. These are attempts, imperfect, debated, contested, to redefine what human rights mean in an interconnected era. The conversation will intensify around what every human being inherently deserves: access to clean water, access to medical care, access to information, access to opportunity. But reform will not move smoothly. Whenever power redistributes, resistance surfaces. Established institutions will attempt to maintain control. Emerging movements will demand rapid change. Tension between tradition and innovation will define much of the next decade. Avoid being seduced by dramatic narratives. Transformation under Pluto is rarely theatrical. It is structural. Laws will be rewritten quietly. Regulatory frameworks will evolve incrementally. Economic systems will integrate digital currencies gradually. The headlines may feel chaotic, but the deeper change is methodical. What is being tested here? Patience. Aquarius energy can be revolutionary. Pluto requires endurance. The future will not stabilize through emotional surges. It will stabilize through sustained reform. If you feel fatigue from constant global tension, recognize this. You are living through a systemic upgrade. Upgrades require temporary instability. Community itself is redefining. In the past, community was geographic. You knew your neighbors. Your workplace was physical. Your civic engagement was local. Now community is layered. You belong to digital networks that span continents. You collaborate with people you have never met in person. You learn from creators across the world. This shift is not superficial. It alters identity. Aquarius governs belonging beyond bloodline or nationality. Pluto intensifies that expansion. You may feel connected to global issues in a way previous generations did not. You may feel responsibility for events occurring thousands of miles away. That empathy expansion is evolutionary. But here is the caution. Do not confuse constant exposure with meaningful impact. The universe is watching how you engage, not how much you consume. This phase is not about reacting to every crisis. It is about choosing where your energy creates tangible alignment. Focused contribution outweighs scattered outrage. There will be renewed attention to climate adaptation and resource allocation. Technological innovation will intersect with environmental necessity. Renewable infrastructure, sustainable agriculture, and circular economies will accelerate under this transit. Why? Because Aquarius rules future planning. Pluto demands survival integrity. Humanity cannot ignore planetary boundaries indefinitely. The collective is being asked to mature. You may also notice generational shifts in leadership. Younger leaders entering governance earlier. Digital natives influencing policy. Traditional hierarchies adjusting to new communication styles. This is natural under Aquarius influence. The future demands voices fluent in its language. But wisdom does not belong to youth alone, nor does authority belong solely to age. The balance between innovation and experience will determine stability. What should be avoided during this era? Cynicism. It will be tempting to believe systems are irredeemable, that corruption is permanent, that collective efforts are futile. Pluto exposes darkness, but exposure is not the same as defeat. Revelation precedes restructuring. What is quietly aligning? Collaboration across sectors once siloed. Technology companies partnering with governments for infrastructure reform. Grassroots movements influencing corporate policy. Cross-border scientific cooperation accelerating problem solving. This is not utopia. It is adaptation. And adaptation is survival. You are not separate from this transformation. The way you vote, invest, consume, communicate, and collaborate contributes to the collective field. Aquarius reminds us that individual action ripples outward. Pluto ensures those ripples have consequence. So how do you navigate this era wisely? Stay informed without becoming inflamed. Participate without becoming polarized. Question without rejecting. Innovate without abandoning ethics. The next 20 years will redefine power not by eliminating it, but by redistributing it. And here is the grounding truth. Power is not inherently corrupt. Unexamined power is. Pluto in Aquarius invites examination. In our final chapter, we will bring this back to you personally, not as a passive observer of global shifts, but as an active participant in this generational transformation. Because this transit is not only about the world stage, it is about your evolution within it. Now we bring this home, because it is easy to talk about governments, technology, global systems, revolutions. It is harder and far more important to ask what this era means for you. Pluto in Aquarius is not happening somewhere out there. It is happening through the collective field you are part of. And the universe runs on structure and timing. You were not placed in 2026 by accident. You are alive at the precise moment this generational shift locks into place. So the real question becomes, who are you becoming during this transition? Over the next 2 decades, adaptability will become a form of strength, not frantic adaptation, not chasing every new trend, but steady evolution, the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn without losing your center. If you feel uncertain about the future, that is not weakness. That is awareness. The old stability models are dissolving. Career paths are less linear. Information is less centralized. Authority is less absolute. That instability can feel disorienting. But here is the grounding truth. Instability creates possibility. Pluto strips away illusions. Aquarius introduces innovation. Together they remove outdated identities and invite upgraded ones. You may find yourself questioning your profession, your political beliefs, your digital habits, your community affiliations, even your sense of purpose. This is not crisis. It is recalibration. What is being tested in you right now? Your flexibility, your discernment, your integrity under pressure. This phase is not about dramatic reinvention. It is about subtle realignment. The universe is watching how you respond, not how quickly you react. When technology accelerates, do you panic or do you educate yourself? When political debates intensify, do you polarize or do you research? When collective fear rises, do you amplify it or do you stabilize your immediate environment? These micro decisions accumulate into macro impact. Aquarius energy thrives in community. Pluto demands authenticity within that community. This means the next era will reward genuine contribution over performative noise, depth over volume, substance over spectacle. You do not need to dominate the digital space. You need to refine your signal within it. Cultivate digital literacy. Understand how algorithms shape your perception. Protect your data. Diversify your information sources. These are not just practical steps. They are forms of sovereignty. At the same time, cultivate human connection offline. Strengthen real-world relationships. Build local trust networks. Because as systems decentralize, resilient communities become anchors. If artificial intelligence automates more labor, then creativity, emotional intelligence, and strategic thinking become invaluable. Invest in those skills. If economic models fluctuate, diversify your knowledge streams. Remain teachable. This era favors the curious. Avoid rigid identity attachment. The world will evolve faster than any single label. The more tightly you cling to outdated definitions of self, the more uncomfortable the transition feels. But do not drift aimlessly either. Anchor yourself in principles, integrity, compassion, accountability. These values will outlast every technological wave. Pluto in Aquarius also invites emotional maturity. The collective nervous system is overstimulated. Outrage is contagious. Fear is profitable. Reaction is rewarded. But long-term stability requires restraint. This phase is not about explosive action. It is about strategic response. Sometimes the most powerful move in a chaotic environment is disciplined stillness. The universe is observing how humanity handles amplified power. And on an individual level, it is observing how you handle amplified influence. Even a single post can ripple outward. Even a small business decision can contribute to larger systems. You are not insignificant, but you are responsible. What should you avoid during this transit? Technological dependency without awareness, ideological extremism without nuance, isolation from community, cynicism disguised as intelligence. What is quietly aligning for you? New collaborations, unexpected alliances, innovative opportunities that require courage but reward authenticity. The chance to participate in shaping a future rather than fearing it. Over the next 20 years, entire industries will rise and fall. Educational systems will restructure. Healthcare will digitize further. Governance models will experiment. Cultural norms will shift, and you will evolve alongside it. There will be moments when the pace feels overwhelming. During those times, return to this understanding. Evolution is not chaos. It is patterned transformation. Pluto moves slowly. Aquarius builds progressively. The shifts may feel sudden, but they are structured. Trust timing. Strengthen discernment. Choose contribution over complaint. You are not required to solve global issues alone. You are required to refine your participation. And remember this, the future is not predetermined in detail. It is shaped by collective behavior. Astrology reveals cycles. It does not eliminate agency. Pluto in Aquarius opens the portal. Humanity chooses how to walk through it. So ask yourself, quietly and honestly, what role do I want to play in this era? A reactor? Or a builder? A consumer of change? Or a conscious participant in it? The next 2 decades will redefine power, technology, governance, and identity. But they will also redefine courage. The courage to think independently. The courage to collaborate ethically. The courage to evolve without losing your humanity. This moment will make sense later. If this message found you at the right time, stay with Celestial Insight. Subscribe. Walk this era consciously. Share this with someone who feels the shift but cannot name it yet. Because the future is not arriving someday. It is unfolding now, and you are part of its design.